Hello, and good afternoon this time. Alright, so, as promised, a bit more March of the Black Queen going on here. So, last time this got very rudely interrupted by Comcast being an absolute dickish piece of nonsense. So, yeah, hopefully that's going to be a bit different this time. As per usual, went ahead and tried to boost things as much as possible, so hopefully we're all good here. Wait, what? Yeah, I wasn't actually meaning to do that. Wait, what? Oh, it's because I'm pulling Joker cards. I'm an idiot, sorry. I didn't know what I was actually doing here, because okay, the thing basically crapped in on itself in the middle of this fight here, so let's see, we're paused. As per usual, extraordinarily outnumbered. So, we've got Rick over here doing his whole thing, which pretty much consists of, I think it was charging at the capital. I've got Steve over here holding this city, and then we've got these three units protecting the base. Meanwhile, Ash is over here kind of wondering what he's even doing here, so, alright, move on. Okay, Steve's unit has finished moving, that's fine. They'll mostly be here to wipe units out. In fact, let's go ahead and make sure that's pretty much guaranteed here. Use a devil. Make sure that they get wiped out. He's gonna do this thing. These fairies are gonna beat the Christ out of this thing, I would hope. Okay, you know what? No. I don't really want to chance this thing getting away because it's caused lots of problems before. There we are. Those devil cards are really good. I'm kind of wondering if they're the opposite of sun cards, like if the unit using it has really, really good negativity, as it were. Wonder if they end up getting a whole bunch of goodies. Oh, somebody's actually running into Ash. He's not gonna have a good time. Ash, strong as he is, he's basically as strong as this complete rando here. Let's go ahead and deploy the Joker cannon, as it were. Just use a billion cards on everything. Also, despite the fact that it says this is Merlin, it's clearly Warren, but whatever. Presumably there was just a mistranslation at some point. Or maybe he can just be in multiple places at once. Yeah, let's go ahead and use the heal up here. Seems like a waste, but I really don't have this unit getting lost. Temperance? No, none of those two cards are going to be useful here. I think for the rest of the fight they should be alright. Oh, gee. Yeah, no, they're in dire straits. Okay. Ash's squad needs to go back to defending that city. Go ahead and break out more Joker cards and make them defending in a reasonable possibility. Chariot, perfect. That's basically what they're going to need. Star also should be useful. I think that's another hit-all card. Fool, good. Use it to scare away some units. And what else? Just ice. Perfect. Why would I ever not keep that? I love that they even give you the option. Like, would you like to use this consumable item to get a card that you don't even want to keep? Yeah, no, let me just throw it right away. Alright, so I need Rick to run down to protect this city. And it seems like he's far better suited for the task. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky with so few units, because I'm thinking, like, I want to keep that city defended. Steve's got the opportunity to intercept anyone coming along. The birds seem mostly to be going for the HQ here, which those guys can safely defend, but they won't be able to respond to this city if they decide to go for it. Steve's just kind of serving as a deterrent, despite being the strongest squad. Ash can't necessarily keep up, but with a couple cards he should be able to at least wipe out that Knight squad up here until Rick can show up. So, let's see what happens. Jesus, man. How does an otter parachute even work? Is it all just, like, loose and baggy and... Jeez. Is that or the shaved otter scarier? I don't know. Let's use a fool card on these, see if they can take out the leader. Okay. So that will scare away everyone but the leader. They should be able to beat said leader down. Now, I really don't want to use either of these. It just doesn't seem worth it. Okay. So so in this version it doesn't really tell you what the cards do. The Fool card basically scares away everybody but the leader. Chariot, Justice, Hermit, and Devil, I believe, are all the giant AoE hit moves. Temperance is just, it restores status effects. If you get Priestess, I think it is, that's the one that heals, and then Star, I think, is another attack one. All the others are HP moves of some description, I think. Or buff moves, I should say. Alright, there we go. Do one of those, and probably just burst the other one on him as well. Actually, no, they might be okay because Ash just got buffed. Yeah, no. They're gonna need to use the other one in order to wipe out this unit. Alright, so, if you're unfamiliar with the mechanics of this thing, essentially, if a unit is fully defeated, they're just completely wiped from the board and they can't be brought back. If a squad's leader is defeated, they'll simply run away, heal, and come back. And then if you end up defeating one unit, there's the possibility where if they're standing on a city, they'll end up getting that unit back. If they're not standing on a city, then they'll just come back injured. But either way, there's a lot of little side mechanics. Do you ever notice the Shaved Udder's trick? It could start firing the double grenade launchers on its back on the ground, then fly up again since it has the same automated firing. Huh, you know, I actually never really thought about it. That is a weird gimmick to deal with. Because yeah, it does automatically keep firing, doesn't it? Huh. Alright, Ash is pretty well boned here, so why don't you go ahead and scare away everybody but the leader. This will allow them to at least get a technical victory. So another thing to consider here... Wow, actually, Ash is really good. I may keep him instead of Lands, actually. I don't have any more Fool cards to deal with this, though. That's agility up, so that should make them dodge better. Let's go ahead and switch their thing to attack the leader, and let's see how this pans out. Wait, you're supposed to attack the leader. What the hell are you doing, Ash? I don't think he can actually breach him, that's the problem. Okay, either way. He did his job, he held on well enough to the point where Rick is almost there, and yeah, Rick should take over fights from here. I don't have the cards to support him anymore, but his preposterous amounts of damage should hopefully keep him alive. Come on, Rick. Just survive. So, very good chance of Rick just completely wiping this squad if he's uncontested. There we go. Alright. I expected Udder and Quickie to do better since they were my best ACs. It's Weird Horse one, almost half dozen instead of Quickie. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. The AI will occasionally just do random crap that nobody quite understands. Just like when Evangel stopped firing. For really no known reason. It was a bug that I haven't seen before. I think, what's his face? I think Azor said he also hadn't seen it before. So, it's a mystery. Alright. By the way, if you're wondering why it's a fairy run and there's non-fairies in the squads, fairies are unable to lead squads of their own, so they are required to have somebody else as a leader. So I figured those units basically have to make this work as best they can. So the situation I'm trying to set up right here is to essentially have multiple squads hiding in cities, while essentially while having them get repeatedly attacked by enemy squads that they can potentially wipe out during that fight. The reason this works, this essentially allows, like for example, this squad right here to take multiple hits and keep on fighting, whereas the other one has no option to recover. Whereas if you let them take cities, then they can retreat to their own cities, and then they recover that way. So any darn ways, that's kind of how that goes. I think I just scared somebody off with that explanation. The Quickie wins every other fight with Overlord, didn't expect it to lose right away. That's the AI for you. You never know. Like, for example, this guy right here is a Lich, so that basically he can just hit everybody 3 times in a round. So if that same squad right there that he just forced to retreat attacks him again, they're done for. There's nothing they can actually do. Also, these geniuses are about to attack Steve. That never goes well. That's the thing. Steve has a tendency to just win against everything. So Steve is basically that Lich, plus the strongest fighter, plus everything else, combined into one. There we go. First hit right off the bat. Partially dead octopi, but the squad's about to retreat. Unless they use Maelstrom here, they should be fine. Yeah, they're just going to completely dodge this. They've got a very high dodge rate. Unfortunately, they did just lose one of their pixies. That's actually still fine. Like, Steve can take some serious punishment. I'm not even worried about that unit being gone. Okay, Rick should have had time to recover while they're getting attacked by that priest squad again. Man, this game's fun, though. Yeah, Cow, I think this one was also on the PSP's chip. It's a SNES game. The SNES emulator on the PSP can't really save, but or it can save, I should say. It can't shut off. That's the weird part. It's just a weird quirk with the PSP one in particular that you can't shut it off while it's running. Like, it just actively prevents you from doing so. As to why, I couldn't tell you. I have no friggin' idea why it works that way. Alright, these guys are slow and very weak to magical stuff, so my hope is that, yeah, right here. That the squad will be able to take care of it. Yep, miss. The Rick squad here can recover most of the damage that they deal in the time that they end up coming back from their retreat. As you can see right there, they're knocked backwards every time they attack. Every time that they attack again, like, unless they end up losing their leader, they will just keep trying. Sometimes they'll just stay, like, right there. They're like, I don't know what to do. But looks like he's going in to get himself taken out. Now, due to multiple limitations, this is going to be a situation where we're going to have, pretty much throughout this entire run, there's going to be a very noticeable lack of numbers. It's like, even right here. Like, we're drastically outnumbered for squads, so just kind of relying on lots of single hit damage and lots of what I like to call the Joker Cannon, which is just taking the buying a whole bunch of Joker cards and using them over and over, which gives you a bunch of those tarot cards, which you can then use over and over and over during a fight, so you can functionally cheat your way to victory in some instances. It's just extraordinarily expensive to do that, but the option is there. Alright. That could have potentially lost one of those units. Actually, now that one of them leveled up... Okay. Yeah, he should be able to finish them off here. Ah, just barely missed. And unfortunately, those Valkyries are likely to come back at full health if they end up touching a city. But here we go. First off, can you buy anything? You can buy some revives. You know, we should probably buy like 10 or 6. Okay, we can afford 6 of them. Okay, this is just for later. I don't expect to need it just yet. No. Edit. So promotions, that's what I was looking for. There we go. We can have a pixie. So fairies upgrade to pixies, which upgrade to sylphs. They're just a flat upgrade instead of a class change. Just basically makes them do more of what they do better. And once they get their final upgrade, they can just pretty much AoE nuke from the back line. But won't have access to that for a very long time. So don't count on it. Also, brilliant AI at work. It's like, we only have a single priest left in our squad. I know, let's go attack one of their strongest units. That's fortified in a city. Clearly nothing can go wrong there. Alright, these guys are kind of pondering whether they want to attack Steve. That answer is usually going to be no. Oh, if you're wondering what that strong setting is, by the way, it just means that they will automatically target the strongest thing. The reason for that, due to the kind of spread out stuff that Rick does here, he's that skeleton in the back. Due to the way that he's all spread out here, this essentially allows him to potentially get more eliminations as time goes on. Alright. Might be about time to have Canopus's unit go liberate some islands or something. I really like this map layout. This is really cool. Everything about this game, I just love it. Oh, and by the way, the abilities that they use, it's not random. It's essentially just whatever the thing attacking them is weakest to, that's what they're going to end up using automatically. They just know all of it from the get-go. Which is weird, because the ice... or the golem... not golems, but the giants that live in the friggin' icy mountains are apparently weak to ice. Whatever. Now, if you're wondering what the deal is with the squad layout here, you see that, that purple dudette, without the pants and the back? Essentially, if she uses that move, and uses it on Steve, who's that, well, essentially a fairy in a mech suit, as we've decided on the left, essentially that will allow him to use his ability twice, and be able to do it better. So, if at any point that unit decides to use it on him, it's basically just... it's over at that point. In fact, I guess there's technically no reason for me to have one of them the front line. Technically, I could just have two of them in the back line and just resolve all problems forever that way. Now, with this run, as I mentioned before, it's going on a standard, like, Iron Man type of rule set. Now, if the headquarters gets taken, that's actually not a game over. It just basically means you get kicked out of the map and lose all your progress. But if Steve's unit is eliminated, that is a game over, and that is the end of the run. That's basically why he or she or it or whatever the hell Steve is just became overpowered as all hell. The only thing that currently can completely wipe him or it out is if they end up using one of the cards, which is called the Sun, which pretty much hits everything based off of its alignment, which is like its moral alignment. And his squad, due to the fact that they've been going around just crushing stuff left and right, is morally questionable as hell, so it will cause every single unit in the squad to instantly die. So, interesting mechanics for you. Now, let's go ahead and spend some of these, I think. I really don't know why I didn't do this before. I want to have those two pixies out in the back. Now the fairy's up in the front, and then that gives the highest potential for boosting up Steve. Yellow, does it lightning? Possibly. I don't know, let's see, they've got lightning, ice, fire, earth. They've basically got all of it in here. Yeah, lightning, ice, fire... Well, it's technically water, not ice. They differentiated it, okay, they changed lightning and air and ice and water in the remake of the... Okay, the remake of the sequel to the sequel of this. That makes sense. Okay. What was I doing here? Anybody that can change classes. Yeah, actually Ash's squad, interestingly enough. I guess that makes sense. They won a couple of fights. Yeah, lightning-wise, I would assume it would end up hurting the water ones a fair bit. Although it should do more to the earth stuff, as backwards as that may seem. Okay. Now, you definitely in the back. You definitely in the back. This one, I believe, is the one I want back here. And these two are up here. They're basically just damage sponges for now. Now, change-wise... Yeah, they can't become anything. Alright, that's gonna hold as it is. Meanwhile, your guys get promoted. Promotion! I don't know if this will cause their health to go up and potentially bring them back to life, but, you know, they're there. Apparently they died so hard they promoted. Yeah, no, they are still unconscious. No, they're actually listed as dead. It's just, you can potentially bring them back. Because that's interesting about Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre in general. There's a whole bunch of instances where they basically confirm, like, yeah, no, your units die, they are permadead. There just happens to be methods lying around that are way too expensive for people to use to bring them back. Like, we have resurrection mechanics all over the place. It's literally just a cost concern. Alright. Alright, let's see if this squad formation works out. Yeah, if either of those... Yeah, there we go. They boosted up Steve, who should now get another turn. See if he does. Because I know for a fact I've seen him double turn before. No. Okay, he didn't. I don't know what the odds are of that, because I know I've seen it before. Pikachu uses Thunderbolt on Onix, it's super effective. Yeah, pretty much, because it counts as a wind move in a lot of these. I think that's probably why they ended up differentiating it later on. There we go. That did the job pretty well. Temperance... Yeah, no, that's just status recovery. They might lose one of their frontliners here. Hopefully they won't, though. No, that's adorable. You want to hurt Steve. Yeah, Steve's story has been a long and bizarre one full of, well, crazy amounts of overpoweredness. So far, this is his, I would say, second most overpowered incarnation. His most overpowered one was back when the run started in Night of Lotus. And at that point, he literally could not be hit by anything. And that game is, I mean, it's pretty tight with its balance. It's pretty hard to get to the point of actually being immune to most things. And it took a very long time and a whole lot of grinding, but after nearly the entire group ended up being perma-killed, it was time for some changes. And so the ridiculousness of Steve the Murder Fairy ended up happening. Alright, you know what? I was very tempted to retreat there, but it looks like he's going to be able to almost finish these guys off. Mostly because revives are so much harder to come by, and I really can't spare the money for them. Rick's unit met. Plus also, since I have two of them on one city, I can actually afford to have these guys run away. I think I'm gonna have Rick... Nah, he's gonna be too slow. And Ash's squad might get wiped out. Okay, there we go. Now we can retreat. He's gonna do that. Because otherwise his front line's gonna go out. Yeah. They're gonna retreat. Ash's squad is gonna take over defense. And then they're gonna end up running back up there. They're gonna run back to the city, try to recover a little bit while Ash holds them off. And then he should be able to finish off this squad. If I had them go forward as they were now, they should have wound up with just a little bit too much health. And possibly still had the chance to run away while Rick's squad would have been permanently damaged. Actually, you know what? While they're doing that, why doesn't Sarah's squad go recover in this city? Go ahead and garrison that town. Actually, a little bit surprised that they haven't gone and tried to take that one, or even tried to take this one down here. They're just making a beeline towards the strongest guys for some reason. Yeah, FFT, or FF in general, really loves to do that. And it's funny because, technically speaking, at this point, it's the same, like, they're literally the same kind of universe, more or less. Because, this franchise, later became... This is actually the franchise that became, FF Tactics. Because it was Ogre Battle, then OB64, then it became Tactics Ogre, which, basically, they saw... like Square Enix, well, what became Square Enix. Okay, that's bad. That's fine, the squad can still get wiped out by Ricks. He's gonna run forward, he should be able to catch them before anything bad happens, so before they end up taking that city. But anyway, so yeah, they basically saw Tactics Ogre and they're like, okay, look, we want this, but we want it to be done simpler. So they took what was supposed to be the finale of the entire series, Episode 8, and turned it into Final Fantasy Tactics. So if you were wondering why the hell it seemed like they thought a whole bunch about FFT and why so much of the story was fleshed out and everything, despite basically coming out of nowhere, that's kinda why. Because they had set up multiple, like multiple nations and everything else, had set up multiple apocalyptic events and everything, and it was all supposed to come to a head where they had, you know, 3 different nations from 3 different games just kind of all coming together, you know, to stop what is basically like a world-ending event. which is where the title comes from, the Ogre Battle or Ogre War or whatever. They changed the name a few times in the series, but it's just basically your kind of run-of-the-mill, the friggin' Hellgates opened up kind of situation. Except it's only when they completely open. There's this constant back and forth where you're technically always kind of sort of open. Like, you've got stuff petering through here and there. Like, you got your skeletons and gremlins and stuff that come through, you know, it's just no big deal, they're just casually around. Also, wow, these guys are really setting a pretty low bar for self-preservation, I must say. And, seems like Rick's squad is finally coming into its own. What kind of promotions can we make for you guys? Get promoted yet? Apparently ho on all of them. Alright. Ash's squad, you can probably hang out over in here. No, you hang out over here. They're not really going to bother trying to take any of the temples or anything. Alright. So we've got a couple randos still kind of wandering around. Not worried, since again they seem to primarily be engaging the very strongest units without question. Apparently no one told them that was maybe a bad idea. Alright, and on we go. Just moved Ash a little bit so that Rick is the one that gets encountered first. But yeah, so the way that FFT was supposed to go as a Tactics Ogre game was supposed to be like, okay, so to explain how the plot kind of goes, so you got this one, which is Zenobia, which is one of the continents where they got taken over by a really standard evil empire kind of thing. So they have a revolution, they throw away said empire and kind of start their own thing. So they establish themselves as this whole separate empire. You got this one other island from Night of Lotus, which is kind of self-governing by the end of it. They probably wouldn't play a very big deal, but I'd assume they'd at least get mentioned. And then you got Valeria, which is one of the other islands that's from Let Us Cling Together, which is where a lot of the characters from this one end up going to. They basically have those three all set up as now self-governing places that another place that's functionally like the Holy Roman Empire tried to take over at some point. They found luck. Yes. I do like the luck. Probably gonna end up giving that to Steve. But yeah, so what ends up happening is that, yeah, somebody finally succeeds. In all of these, somebody tries to open up those Hellgate things. And finally, by the end of it, somebody does manage to get it through while nobody's looking, so all three end up having like a big tag team thing, end up losing. And then apparently that's where the whole Zodiac thing would come out, because they're like, hey, look, you know, here's our MacGuffin, you know, we found these crazy space rocks, which wouldn't even be out of place in the series, considering it's a place where you can literally go visit heaven and hell. So, like, oh, they're just tangible places, they're just right over there. That's always fun. Let's see, there's a surprisingly long game for the SNES called Shingen the Ruler. It's a tactical game. Early on, best strategy is to attack higher level armies and watch outs with your range guys, and then run away so you keep getting experience before you get wiped out. Yeah, that kind of sounds a little bit like this one, actually, in a weird way. Actually, okay, speaking of weird mechanics, right? So this one has a pretty much constant mechanic. You may have noticed I've only had 2 squads doing the majority of the fighting. And those squads, if we go over to them, are going to be evil as crap. Because they're used to just fighting and murdering and doing all that kind of stuff all the time. It's like right here, alignment 0, charisma 0. Whereas these other guys, if I can pause real quick here, like Canopus down here. I was trying to pause, but fine. So he's been going around and liberating cities and stuff. His charisma is 92, alignment is 73 out of 100. So pretty much every time that somebody fights a stronger unit, whether they win or not, actually I think they do have to win, like every time they fight a stronger unit, they become a little bit more likable, they become a little nicer, but every time they fight weaker units and win all the time, especially if, for example, you have them going and fighting all kinds of smaller squads constantly, the level difference between those is taken away from those scores, to the point where you can have them go to a city and they will ruin your reputation by freeing that city from tyranny. Like, they're literally being taken over and enslaved, and you go and you liberate that city with the squad, and they're like, I'll take the other guys, please. This isn't gonna work. So it's a really cool mechanic. I haven't really seen it come up in other places. But again, that's just kind of the amazing thing about this entire series. They tried all this really cool stuff. Not all of it worked out, but there's a lot of cool things that they did. Alright, so surprisingly, they still have more guys coming here. And surprisingly, they are still going for the 2 strongest squads. So everything's going according to plan. Now back for more hill giants that are apparently afraid of the cold. Granted, they don't have pants, but neither do my guys. And apparently they're weak to lightning. Acid. There we go. Rick showing off why liches are frickin' amazing. You kind of have to. You start as one of the weaker shows, and everyone is higher level, being normally is impossible. Yeah, that sounds like one of those really hard just to be hard things. I'm gonna have to give. You know what? Can you send me the name of that thing in the Discord so that I remember to take a look at it? I want to give that a try at some point. Been on this kick lately of going and finding old gems and stuff like that. Actually, speaking of old gems and soon to be new gems, I've been watching this guy that, well, not less so watching, more like hearing about. Sorry, just taking a look at its name real quick. There was this guy making a game called Vindus Saga, which is supposed to be like kind of like FFT or TO or any of them. Supposed to be like a modern redoing of that genre. And it sounds like he's got a whole lot of the cool things of that genre locked down. So I don't know if it. I think it's like a small team that works on it. But I was talking to the guy that sounds like he's the main guy, I think. But yeah, they seem to really have this whole thing figured out. So I can't wait to see that. Hopefully it'll be really good. Actually, you know what? You know what that's reminding me of? Your comment there. There was this old strategy game, an old DOS one, called Lead Soldier. Oh man, I need to. You know what? I should probably go find that again and do a part on it. Last I checked, the site that it was on was gone, so maybe I can find it on an old hard drive or something. But it's kind of like if you imagine, one of these things, but in proper real time, and also set in like an 90s era, give or take. It's like a squad-based real-time strategy thing that ended up working out surprisingly well. All right, so I think it's safe to have no. I'm gonna say I think it's safe to have somebody go out and start liberating cities, but seems like these mermaids are just never gonna stop. Shinyan the ruler, brother beat it and had a game save. Up all the new stuff after he moved, and I erased his game to start a new one, but I never finished. Well, actually, wait a minute. Was that the one that... There was... Okay. There was some game that I was told about that sounded a little bit like that, but there was some... It was on the PSP, some newer one. Aw. It's okay. Don't worry. And that just comes with having a brother. Whenever, we had this... Okay, so my brother and I had this constant back and forth with Armored Core, actually. Because we only had one PS2 between us. Surprisingly, that ended up changing due to really stupid circumstances, but so we had the one PS2 between us, and so we kept trading off Armored Core, and we had AC2 at the time. And every time that he would end up going to work or doing something else, I would just hop on the console, go and completely rebuild his entire AC, and just start from, pretty much start from scratch, because he always preferred to go for, like, plasma arms and all kinds of crazy high-hit weapons. Like, no, you need to go for lightweight, you know, and just change it into a lightweight build. And he would get so pissed, because he would come back, he'd spend the entire evening playing, and then, like, he would rebuild it, and I would go and ruin it for him yet again. It was pretty great. Alright, Temperance, I believe, is just the recovery card. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. Okay, there's a good chance these frontliners are going away. I mean, Steve can take the punishment, quite frankly. It isn't even necessary for them to survive. For now, they just need to hold the city, and if they survive this... Yeah, there we go. Or moo cow too. I don't know what that means, but okay then. Oh, oh. Armored Core 2, or moo cow 2, gotcha. It's okay, I did it dumb. Alright, let's go ahead and use a revive, I think. Wait, what? Oh, I guess it just advanced one frame. Yeah, sold everything for full price, exactly. Kinda wish they would have kept that system, because it prevents you from saving over your... or accidentally screwing over your save file. Like, it's arguable that it's more immersive that way, but... let's be honest. Despite money being a major mechanic of that game, it never mattered. I think the only time I ever recall money actually being a factor in AC at all was during Nexus, and that's only because you basically lost money on tuning all the time, and you kind of needed it to get anywhere. Actually, no. Scratch that. Verdict Day. With the very latest one that they did. That one it did matter because you ended up having to constantly retrofit stuff. So yeah, that was a different story, but even then, mostly, again, you were paying for customizations and stuff like that. See, if I wouldn't take a penalty to my already abysmal ranking here, probably would just have these guys run away and then immediately come back and have Steve one-shot this party. But they're gonna automatically come back anyway. That's the thing, Steve is doing all the damage. Everybody there is just there to shield him. Or her. Or it. Whatever Steve is. Friggin' mech fairy. Man, when's Vale gonna, or Vin gonna show up to explain what the hell the deal is with friggin' Mecha Steve the fairy? Okay, so it's supposed to be some fairy that basically started some bizarre cult out of a church on an island in the middle of nowhere. Proceeded to stop some kind of invasion from a Hellgate, then went back in time to get revenge on his friend that screwed him over or something, presumably. And yeah, then all this happened somehow. I don't really remember what the explanation was for this. I think he just fell into another hell portal or something. It's unclear. Trying to come up with some consistent narrative for friggin' beating the entire series with fairies of all things. Oh yay! Good. We made $4 grand. That's gonna be enough to keep this army running. It is getting incredibly expensive to keep these guys in the field. And it's kinda getting to the point where we actually might have to start using even fewer units than are already out here to actually do anything. We finished moving. If you're wondering what I'm doing, there's hidden cities in some of these islands. This is functionally half blind here, so I don't know where a lot of stuff is, I just kind of know where it should be. A lot of the stuff in this thing is randomized. The cities aren't, but there's a lot of hidden cities around. Depending on certain tiles, you kind of run into some neutral units that you can hire. Basically just run into them like Pokemon, for crying out loud. And you just have an option to offer them to join. But all these little islands have the potential to have cities on them. So if I get a city, it won't necessarily help the reputation, which is this right here. Unless they already were on the map, so these are basically like unknown little hamlets that won't really help our reputation at all. In order to have any hope of having a even remotely decent ending to this game, I have to get that reputation up at some point. But, yeah, so far, given how stuff has been going, I'm not entirely sure that's even a realistic possibility anymore. And they came back for Steve again. How many times has this gone poorly? What's that? All of them? Alright, well, go ahead and try again. Don't worry, guys, you totally got it this time. Yep, you get him, champ. Alright, Alright, so he's gonna run off. Probably gonna go heal. That's fine. More experience for Steve, I guess. What else do we have? Okay, they're redeploying the mermaids. There we go. We got a city here. We can probably move Rick up to this one because they're probably going to start trying to take it. Octopus is a BJ Lips? Yeah, kinda. I never really thought about it. For good reason. By the way, if you're wondering how fast mermaids move, there you go. They just cleared that entire friggin' map in that much of a time. Alright. Steve's gonna friggin' rock these guys as he does. And then this lead fairy should be able to turn into a sylph soon, and hopefully at some point we'll get pixies. Once we get pixies, Steve's squad will be invincible. Not invincible, but they will essentially just be a friggin' cannon. Wait, what? Only upgrade a Marlboro unit and tactics had a monster skill to turn another unit into a Marlboro permanently. I've never actually heard of that. I used to run the hell out of the game. I've never actually seen that. That's awesome. Let's see. Our major division has deployed several flying units to find Sky Islands. It seems that... Sky Islands? What? Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna have... I think I'm gonna have Canopus fly around and... Yeah, what type are you? Right, first off, you're gonna have to survive... Oh yeah, no, you're fine surviving against that guy. This should also make his charisma go up, because I'm pretty sure that unit is stronger than him. Another nice side effect here of essentially having a few overpowered units and everyone else being super weak is, yeah, these guys will just get stronger and way more charismatic every time they finish off a stronger squad, even though they really were just beating somebody that was injured. It's okay. Morals are kind of dubious in Overbattle in general. I mean, in one of them, there's literally an option of, hey, would you like to genocide today? And it's actually not even necessarily, like, okay, it is a horrible thing, but I'm just saying it's not necessarily the wrong option in the scenario. Yep. Thing that came out on the Nintendo, the most family-friendly console. Yeah, there was also a hidden third type of pig monster only seen through breeding. Never fight one anywhere for so long I didn't know it existed. Oh yeah, I forgot about that whole breeding system. Man, the game had a lot of stuff that I really did not see that often. Also, I love how those units are basically buffing themselves despite having no point in doing so. Alright, so I think Canopus may be able to intercept this Skulltopus over here, as Vale likes to call them, because they just look like an octopus with a skull on it. There was talk of making a t-shirt with a Skulltopus on it. Alright. Have you go there. We got a mermaid unit coming in. Alright, Canopus, finish it. Have yourself some calamari. Alright, it's making a little bit of a switch here. It's not actually intentionally avoiding him. It's just that it has a little bit of a quicker route here because it's going to try to go straight back for HQ. Since their leader's gone, they just want to run back to base and get patched up. See, they could poach them for the game as the strongest purse. I forget what else. Yeah, so the poaching system, it's funny. It originally started in Tactics Ogre also, back on the SNES, and it continued on to the remake of that as well. Ooh, backed by neutral characters. That must be a mermaid. No, it's an octopus. Would you like to just join us? Wait. We got an octopus. Like, yeah, guys, hi. You just invaded my home. Can I be your friend? Let's see. That's some sort of invisibility, I think. I have no idea. Like, every Mitsuno thing had so much stuff that was potentially hidden and never going to be found by anyone for any reasonable reason. Like, okay. So, best example of that, right? So, in Tactics Ogre, as in the original one, they had this dungeon. Like, you know how you have the obligatory friggin' infinite dungeon. So, okay, so FFT had the Deep Dungeon, Tactics Ogre had the Palace of the Dead. So it was 100 floors of just random fights. It was just, you got a whole bunch of more or less the same map, and most of them, as Mr. Strider Kane recently found out in his run, consisted of just having Hobrim take a few steps forward, petrify the entire group, and then just beating the hell out of a bunch of statues. You do that for 100 fights in a row, and in the process, some of the floors would give you special moves for your characters, and some of the floors would give you a fight with a boss of some sort. And there were 4 in particular. You could repeat this thing, by the way, over the course of a single playthrough, and you basically got it right before the very end. But like 4 of them in particular that would come in dropped 4 different weapons, which you can even find those in this one too. I think... Didn't you have one of them? I don't know, I can't even tell because it doesn't tell me in this version. But you had the Zephyros, the Euros, the Boreas, and the Nodos, which were the Wind God weapons, as they were called. So if you picked up all 4 of them, and you got all the way to the 100th floor, then you got an alternate version of the last boss, which gave you a gem that was... It was like the best item in the game, pretty much. It was just a thing that would boost every single stat, and pretty much make the unit functionally invincible. But they felt that that wasn't quite hidden enough, right? The remake comes along, they're like, okay, so here's the thing. Those don't just randomly pop up. You can't accidentally run into them. There are 3 specific enemies in this entire 100-floor thing, which was up to 115 floors, but they added in some shortcuts, but it still would take you weeks to fully explore the whole thing. So, so you get to the, to the bottom or whatever, and, people were going through, they're like, I played the original, I don't see these bosses here anymore. Like, yeah, no, they're gone. They're gone now. It's just like 3 random enemies with nothing distinct about them that have a 5 to 10 something % chance of dropping 3 of them, and then they moved the last one to a completely different area, where yet another just random enemy has it for no particular reason. It's just like some random Hydra hanging onto a spear or something along those lines. And let's just say that system was a little bit annoying. Because yeah, it just completely was there to mess with people, and nobody else would ever find it. But so you need to collect all those things, then you go back through that 100-floor thing again, which again, just to reiterate, you cannot get this guy on your first time through. There is a specific boss that comes through, so even if you collect those other 4, you have to go through it all over again in order to get the second guy. So, okay, so you end up going through all that, you finally find Blackmoor at the very bottom there. And that's one of the very few times where they actually guaranteed a drop, interestingly enough. Almost every other time, they're like, here's this super difficult thing. There's like a 10-15% chance you'll actually get the thing. Also, do you feel like going through this entire dungeon again? Hope so, because that's what you're going to be doing. And yeah, it was set up like an MMO in a lot of ways. Kind of a strange thing. Point being, that's where you had to go through all of this to figure out one of the most basic mechanics, which is whether or not people liked you. Because there was a constant background thing called Chaos Frame, which is just this system that basically said, okay, at certain points of time, whether a unit will join you or whether they won't, or whether certain story events will progress. Like, just how popular are you with X, Y, or Z group? So, for example, if you, in one part, there's a point where you, like, invade a city, they're like, okay, look, people on both sides are looting and pillaging and all this other crap, what are we supposed to do here? And you basically have the option of, well, you forgive people on both sides, or you only forgive the guys on your side, or whatever else. And depending on what you choose, like if you choose to forgive everybody, then your guys will like you less, but the people you're invading will like you more. Vice versa. If you end up saying, you're just going to pick only your side, then you're going to run into a case where everybody else hates you. So, there's this whole background politics thing, and you have no idea what anybody thinks of you up until you get to that point. That's when you actually get a score of like, hey, these people have hated you this entire time, and you thought they liked you. Oh yeah, N2 has extra 100-floor dungeon with the strongest enemies in the game. Yeah, they'd love to do that. And that Palace of the Dead thing actually got recycled into Final Fantasy XIV. So their current MMO thing, that has that in there. And they included some plot from the series in there as well, so that's basically where it's at this point. We probably won't get another sequel. It'll probably all just get shoved into this MMO thing. Yeah, Unseen Spirit of the first... Oh yeah! Oh yeah, I remember that. Honestly, not a huge fan of 10-2. That one was just kind of weird. Alright, let's go ahead and have Rick take care of this fight. I think that's all their units in the field. Come to think of it, why the hell did I not have Canopus? Alright. So here's the deal. I'm gonna have Canopus go explore over here. I don't know why I haven't had him do so yet. Alright, I'm gonna have... Actually, you know what, Rick, why don't you hold off? You're just gonna go here and hide in the woods for a minute. Managed to beat a character you only see briefly and 10 shows up. Wait a minute, is that the lady with, like, the spheres on the side of her head? Whatever the hell her name is, that's like a boss, like a random boss out of nowhere? And then you get a bunch of useful sphere things if you manage to beat her? That's a few seconds, and then reveals... Yeah. Everything past 10 got really hard to follow. Like, 10 was already reaching into confusing territory, and then, like, everything past there just got really confusing. Okay, attack by another neutral. How would you like to join us too? We promise we won't eat you. They're surprisingly okay with that. Cool. There we are. Found one more city. Okay, liberated the city. Is there anything you can actually get from that city? Yes, pull a card. Empress, perfect. That, I believe, is the defense up card. If I'm not mistaken. Also, that should make reputation go up. We've been doing to the mer people. Not only have we ruined the oceans they live, we hunted and ate them. You believe the human... okay. They seem surprisingly willing to attack us. You know, and go fight this war for somebody else, considering they were, you know, supposed to not like this sort of thing. Yeah, there has to be at least some hidden items here or something. Usually the hitboxes for where these items are pretty forgiving. Sweet. Finally, some income. As opposed to the last few maps where there was just income through the ears of like 100k by the end of the fight. I already know that we're not going to get any sort of bonus because our reputation is garbage, so... Alright, let's do this. I want to see what this Sky Island thing is all about. I'm going to have him fly around. I know he counts as low sky, but... I thought they had flying units scouring the sky. So he is a Hawkman unit. Supposedly he should count. I know there was supposed to be something about finding Sky Islands that somebody told me about a while ago, but I don't remember what it's for. Exactly. Cash Moonies. I am assuming that's what that's supposed to stand for. Found the city of Baipao. Unfortunately, liberating these random cities does nothing for a reputation. Next to is being made around the same time they merge with Enix. I have a feeling they were trying... Yeah, that's probably part of it, and they were also probably trying to... Ooh. Nice. Got a little bit more health. Yes, keep it. Okay, what's your name? Mango lives in this town. She's over 150 years old. Mango. Right, cool. Right. Alrighty then. Why don't you go over here? Tell me if you find anything. And why don't you maybe go back, see if you can find anything there. Yuna has to save Tidus, but why though? I mean, you'd think she would have heard that awkward laugh one time and run for the frickin' hills. Alright, let's go check the corners of the map. I mean, we're basically just sitting and collecting money, so why not? Alright, you try to... As far as what I'm looking for here, I'm mostly kind of scouring the area to see if this Sky Island thing the guy was talking about is real. And then gonna have him go search this area. Yeah. Let's see. I think FFT was technically my first FF game, but I think 10 was the first, like, standard one, so to speak. So awkward. Really liked it. Played the hell out of that thing. Like, I almost even got all the ultimate stuff for everyone, but then kind of got stuck at that whole dodging lightning 100 times thing. Screw that. Like, let's see, I didn't do the dodging lightning 100 times. Just because my kid reflexes sucked. I actually did end up winning the whole friggin' water soccer thing. World, I forget what World does. It's got a naked chick on the front, so can't go wrong there. Okay, from now on, drawing a tarot card will affect all deployed groups. Well, good to know. Good to know now that we can no longer get any more of them. Found an honor shield. Ugly war between humans and the merpeople is brewing. Please try to stop it. Yeah, I'll get right on that. I mean, I figured there was some plot lying around somewhere, so that's what I'm trying to do right now. Oh yeah, the jump roping 1,000 times? I don't know who thought that was a good idea. It's actually funny, and like everything associated with Final Fantasy, they always have something in there. It's just like, we made this as a sanity test. Like, would you like to know what it's like to talk to the frickin' walls? Well, here, give this a try. You know, dodging lightning 100 times, going and dodging, or jumping rope 1,000 times. The Chrysler Building in Parasite Eve. Yeah, I think that the Chrysler Building might be one of my personal favorites. This is as far as endless dungeons go. So not only is it endless, it's basically the same recycled corridor over and over, identical. Like, all the rooms look the same, they're randomized, but they pretty much all look the same, to the point that it's hard to tell which direction you're even going. And it's 100 floors of that, and then pretty much any random encounter can just end you. Like, regardless of where you're at, really. Like, beat the game, got this ridiculously overpowered thing that, I kid you not, was like a thing that basically shot grenades at every single thing in the room. It's like one of those ones where you mess around with the game's mechanics so much that nothing makes sense anymore. And so there was this whole thing where you could take an SMG, which had the ability to shoot at everything in the room at the same second. You had the ability to make it explosive, and I think you had the ability to make it toxic or something like that too. And then put it all on a shotgun so it has an AoE on it. So it basically just did like AoE friggin' shotgun grenades everywhere. It's bizarre. Okay, where have I not looked yet? Tell you what, why don't you go over here, see if there's any new dialogue in these cities? You know why the lightning stuff is hard? Because they never really bother explaining it. You just like push the button to dodge the thing, and then you pull it off sometimes. And there's no indicator whatsoever that you should go do that a friggin' 100 times. For one volcano and ice cave, you're level appropriate or you're screwed. You either run, pray for mercy, or overlevel and end up weaker endgame from not leveling and upgraded classes. Yep. Sounds like a good way to lose. Kind of makes me think of the level 30 wall in the Let Us Cling Together remake. So they had this weird leveling mechanic where your entire class would level at one time. And yeah, you got like little bonuses every time somebody leveled up as a class, but you could only ever get 50 levels in any particular class. So it wound up with this weird thing where you would eventually cap everybody out. And if those units ended up dying along the way, which if you were going for all the post-game stuff, there was a pretty decent chance of, you kind of wound up in this awkward thing where the only way to make people stronger than whatever their now maxed out classes were was to pretty much go and collect cards that ended up dropping. And that was just weird. Alright, I'm starting to wonder if there's actually any plot here, because, like, I know that they mentioned an NPC that can be hired. I'd like to potentially pick them up, but I can't really find anything else out here. Alright. Alright, go ahead and take a peek at this stuff, I guess. Nerf those areas in the remakes. Well, of course they would. Otherwise they would end up alienating a whole new generation. Like, it's funny, I saw somebody mention, I want to say it was the FF5 remake or something. Oh, yes, another city. More monies! So normally you start dropping in reputation if you end up sitting in a place and collecting money for a while, since only during these actual fighting maps can you collect any money. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of stuff to consider here. Let's see, this should make reputation go up, right? Porcus. Has been fooled by the Empire. Nothing. Oh, they're the boss, that's why I can't find them. Okay. Okay, we'll just look at this last island here. Well, you can just... Oh, sweet. Wait, if they're the free city, why are we liberating them? Our guns would each cast an AoE spell, and they could one-turn you. Got ambushed, it was game over. Yeah. I kind of wonder sometimes if they value art over actual balance in a lot of these cases. Like, okay, I know I'm comparing everything to it, but another, ooh. Hey, place looks suspicious. Yeah, I know, we've been doing that all game, dude. Okay, so, another TO example, right? So, kind of like what he was saying there, and actually kind of related to all these things at the same time. Friggin' draconic stuff, right? So in the original, the SNES game there, okay, will be hunted by humans until now. Man, this chick doesn't leave much of the imagination, does he? Very safe, can't let you stand in the way of that world, even though he's actively imprisoning you, but whatever. But okay, in the original, you had something called Draconics, which you could get for all of your much stronger mages. Like, you had your basic ones, they could do some basic stuff, but then you had other ones where you would essentially bring in like a bunch of friggin' super moves and stuff. Also, by the way, this is why Taros are friggin' amazing. Just go ahead and nuke this guy. Judgment, I think. Boom. And there we go. They're done for. What else? Do I want to do Empress? Yeah, I think that'll heal all of them. Okay, so, back to the actual point I was getting at. So, original game, they had this whole thing where you would go and, you would dive into this friggin' 100-floor dungeon, and you would get some of these abilities for some very specific classes. They had your Liches, which were your super mages that maged so hard they became a skeleton. You had your Warlocks, which were just, your upgraded guys that studied all this stuff casually. And so they had abilities that would hit everything on the map, which, pretty overpowered. So they felt they needed to nerf it. So then the remake comes along, and they nerfed them way too hard. They, A, made it to the point that you couldn't even acquire them until like floor 50 of this thing. B, they would require specific items in order to even use. C, would require their usual MP pool on top of that. And D, most of them were completely worthless. Like, okay, previously you had a move that would hit everything on the map and just completely wipe it out. And then it gets replaced by another thing that's like, you can detect some traps in a specific 5-tile area. So just like, go pick a little tiny area there. There are almost no traps in the entire game, by the way. I should point that out. None. Like, there's maybe 2 maps that actually have those particular things. Also, I don't know why I'm promoting this guy. I just feel like promoting him. Who else do we have? Amazons can promote it. I can't even use any of these guys anyway, so whatever. Alright. Items, use item. What's this? Honor shield. Alright, I think we can give that... Okay, I'm gonna equip that. And death armor on Steve. His other pixies are the ones that are in training. Sandora, which I think is actually named the same as the bad guy in this. Trap, it's a steel needle. Oh, you know what the best part is? Those base game traps, they weren't even threatening. Like, okay, so all your other casters spent most of their time throwing around debuffs. Like, they would paralyze units, they would go and cause them to be unable to move and all that. You saw that kind of stuff flying around constantly. You know what the best part is? So, you could run into a situation where you ran into one of those traps, and they're like, oh, you got misstep. So your melee guy that has never even thought about going and ranging anything is now 15% less accurate with ranged things. Like, there's no need to detect and disarm that trap. It's worthless. It doesn't do anything. Like, it does no damage, it doesn't really disable anything, it's just kinda there. The Diablo 1 on PS1, I have played it. I've never been a huge fan of Diablo, though. Let's see. Cabins were bugged, along with many other things. They saved before restoring MP and the equivalent, so if you saved and came back, surprise. Oh, wow. That's some glorious design right there. Alright, this map I do remember. I'm going to pause it right off the bat to take in the nonsense. So, here's the deal. That is their capital right over there. This thing right here. They will send like 30 units right out here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to send Canopus out to capture this city. I'm going to send Rick and Steve there to defend it and leave everyone else defending the HQ. Because I know for a fact that there's going to be a huge fight right there. Best case scenario, you know, we don't have as many fights, but it's pretty much all going to come down to one massive pile being sent right there. Harder than the PC version and has speed up. Interesting. Wouldn't have expected that. Although I still kind of stand by the same thing of, if you need a speed up mode on your game, there's a chance you may have made an iffy game. A good example of that? Fire Emblem Awakening, right? So despite the fact that that thing is praised left and right, there's almost no strategy to that game. You basically pair up 4 units and just see those couple of married units just go about and wipe everything with no difficulty whatsoever. Alright. So Alicia's gonna guard there. Canopus is gonna liberate that town. Rick is gonna follow. I might just leave Steve there. There's a possibility that people actually can start liking Steve. Let's see. I'm gonna send you out here. You're gonna try to liberate that city. I don't think they'll try to take it back if it's way out there. And then Sarah... Yeah, you're just gonna... I think you're just gonna stay right there. Alright. Nine, 10 seconds into a dungeon. Sounds like Diablo. I had an ex that was really into one of them. But, yeah, I don't know. Even that wasn't enough to try and figure out more of it. Oh, nice. Their alignment went up even farther. Let's see. As a mage, never get hit with a barrel under 17 health. At level 1, you can get 2-shot. Sounds like mages in most things, though. Okay. I got attacked by a neutral. What do we got here? Ooh, a golem. An iron one by the looks of it. It's a shame we can't use it, but we have one. We can put him up as a statue. Maybe we can position him and make him go into all kinds of questionable poses. Okay. So now that Canopus has liberated that city, Rick is going to move up and defend it. Actually going to send the witches squad up here as a distraction as well. So if you're wondering why I haven't had that witch squad doing very much, it's mostly because they aren't very good. They can serve as a distraction, and that's really about it. Alright, Nopus, go take this city. There's a lot of water in the way. I'm fairly certain they don't have many water units. They probably won't be very tempted to go take that one out. I'm a little bit surprised we haven't run into a lot of attacks just yet. The strongest and toughest are not balanced quite right in the... Yeah. Well, it's kind of going to be hard to balance a game like that, though. Complete Fustercluck of stats. Sunstubel. That's definitely not difficult to pronounce or anything. You know what? This map kind of makes me think of 7th Saga. Emperor card, that should make reputation go up, I think. Or no, charisma. I think it's Empress that makes your alignment go up, or your reputation go up. Another real thing, be very careful about the cold weather here and only send troops that are used to it, especially General Figaro keeps... Oh, Platinum Dragons. Okay. What that's trying to say is just use logic to figure out the actual system for the weather, because no one's going to tell you what it actually means. Okay. Gonna go over there. Yeah, there we go. Rolheim. Yeah, like he was saying there, though, this should be the one where it starts getting real, so to speak. Don't be a boo. It's a boo. Reputation went down. Or alignment. Let's go north. Wonder if they're moving around now to keep the rebels where they go. Interesting. That tells me I should send somebody up north. Affect your manager. They get upset. Get upset at the schedule. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. Wait, this is the completely wrong card to use for this, yeah. Well, I made a whoops. Emperor. Good, keep doing that. Okay, this is possible. Finish it. Okay. Hopefully they'll have time to recover until the next unit gets there. But yeah, MP to HP kind of, or HP to MP kind of stuff, always overpowered. Doesn't matter what the context is. Yeah, figured it was mana. Just had to make fun of it. Okay. I love that so much of the music got reused for the SNES and the SNES remake. Oh! Yeah, this unit is not technically beatable. World? See what that does? What does Naked Chick do? Okay, Magic Shield, perfect. Okay, so they might be able to take out the leader, but that's it. I need Alicia's unit is the only one that can beat this one. And that's actually the main reason that I didn't end up going for that rule of, you know, can only use gremlins to lead squads. There we go. So they're going to run away now. Perfect. Okay, now we know we need you up here. You don't really need to assist in defending Steve. Pretty sure he can handle everything on his own. Okay. Got a Dragon Tamer squad. Are they fencers in this one? What are these guys? I think they're Dragon Tamers. I mean, they have the same outfit as the other Dragon Tamers. But I know this game does have fencers, too. Yeah, don't worry, Rick's not overpowered or anything. Okay, so I get 2 slashes up front, 1 from the back. That is a goofy-looking JPEG they just got hit by. Exactly, what does Naked Chick do? Naked Chick does naked. Actually, there's a lot of funny-looking cards in this game. Like, whenever the Devil card comes up, just take a nice little peek at it. Tell me that's not nefarious. Yeah, Rick by himself is functionally unkillable if he's anything like the other games. So the Liches in all these games, they aren't necessarily... Well, they're usually the strongest casters. They don't max out with their damage as high as, say, Warlocks do. But in most of them, their resistance is to the point where almost nothing can hurt them. So that's kinda why I was really happy to find out that there was a Lich, even without really knowing what they did in this game. I want to see here is if this will protect from the dragons or not. Yeah, one way or another, looks like Rick should be able to finish this. Man, he's good. There's Alicia's squad. Oh man. Yeah, you guys are going to be able to do nothing here. What about Hierophant? When does this... Take some sleep? Okay, yeah, go ahead and retreat. That'll make their alignment and stuff go down a little bit. But since they don't have a frontliner anymore, I would assume Rick will be able to finish this without any problems. Because it's essentially 3 squishies. Oh, look at this guy. It's adorable. He's trying to match friggin' Rick over here. Throwing out multiple blizzards at the same time. Airplane Here's Mind Magic 3. There's other games in the series, but that's a good one. As Liches. Yes, I have played a little bit of that. Not very much, though. Oh. Alicia, I need you to move back here, because I need you on standby in case more ghosts show up. Right, so this is why their squad is fairly overpowered. They get a heal for most frontline attacks. Unless there's a very frontline heavy party, they can pretty much take whatever. Okay. So they've stopped trying to take that city. They appear to want to try and take on Steve for some reason. It's adorable. Like, I don't get it, I can't hit it. That's why it's joked about that agility is the most overpowered skill in the game, by the way. Or stat in the game. They can just sit there and dodge everything. Phone had a seizure? You mean Eminem 3? I think it got ported to dang near everything. Notice the one that kind of looks like an RTS. Well, I mean, it basically is an RTS. But it's got all kinds of fantasy crap going on. Alright, and Rick takes out yet another one. Looking like Canopus stopped moving at some point and I forgot to check on him. There's either going to be a town up here or some kind of hidden item. I can almost guarantee it. There's kind of like a little path going north, so more than likely it's going to be over here. But I want him to scour the mountains a little bit. See if he can find any hidden stuff. And they're luckily giving just enough time with their approach that both parties are able to almost completely... wow, words are difficult apparently. Almost completely recover. Shield, that actually won't help him very much. There we go. See, that time they did 2 of them. But they didn't get buffed, so I don't understand. Sometimes they get their second turn... Why is it so difficult to speak? Sometimes they get their second turn, other times they don't. There we go. Yeah, Blade Grasp from Tactics, very true. It's funny because they had a very similar ability that they tried to put in the Lucked remake, which was Parry. That they basically took the same parry skill, but they tried to make it a ranked skill. So with high weapon skill, like you could rank everything up to 8 very slowly. Start off at 1, go all the way to 8. So with that, with a maxed out parry, a shield that boosted parry, I think there was a helmet and armor that boosted parry as well, On top of maxed out weapon skill and a necklace that boosted your weapon skill, it got to the point where you pretty much had more or less, like, complete evasion from the front, very likely evasion from the sides, and still pretty decently high evasion from the back, as well as a skill that worked the same from all directions as a kind of universal save, to the point where it was like a 40% chance where even if you would have gotten hit, you will just go and parry it anyway. But it kind of functioned on a similar level. And I think they went with that mechanic in order to try to balance out how overpowered Blade Grasp was. And another funny thing about that is actually just all of TO. All of the TO remake was just like, here's a bunch of stuff that was either really overpowered in the other game or really overpowered in FFT, and we want to fix it. And then they ended up taking a lot of them way too far. Like, okay, archers are a funny example, because they were hands down the strongest thing ever in the SNES one. Then they went to FFT and they're like, okay, we gotta nerf them a little bit, you know, and so they sucked. And you know, at that point, they're like, okay, look, we gotta figure out something for these guys. They're like, okay, massive dead zone, but we keep that same offensive ability that they had before. Well, sure enough, they just wind up with a situation where they're somehow even more overpowered than before because they had ridiculously long range now. Plus, they gave them the ability to pretty much guarantee that they're going to get a crit, plus they give them the ability to shoot twice. So that was some dubious balancing. Mostly because by the end of the game, it just wound up becoming far easier to go send everybody in naked with a bow. Like, if you had a bunch of naked archers with bows, they would just double turn everything, and then also get double shots during their turns and or crits. It got ridiculous. It got absolutely hilarious how nonsense that was. Oh, wait. Okay. Rick doesn't technically count as a zombie. For a second there, I was like, I really hope that they didn't just one-shot Rick. Because then we basically would be done for here. But, yeah, he has health, so he doesn't count as a zombie. Okay. So very slowly, they're wearing themselves down. Seem to have a knack for bows in most games I play. Yeah, especially if they're anything that Matsuno had a hand in, they're probably gonna be really good. Except for crossbows and FFT, those things are garbage. Actually, hilarious thing, because everything in FFT, it's funny to see the mirror right next to them, so everything that was underpowered or overpowered in FFT is almost the exact opposite once the TO remake came. Because he made it pretty soon afterwards. It seems like, mentally speaking, he played the SNES one, and then he played FFT, and was like, I gotta learn lessons from both of these, and then he tried both of them, and just wound up with that weird exact opposite of each one. Like, okay, the crossbows obviously sucked in FFT. They were kind of meh in the original for the SNES there. But then the PSP version comes out. He's like, okay, so at this point, we gotta just make them ridiculously good. So they have preposterously long range, they pretty much ignore armor by endgame, and they just... their very first move that they get, like every other rank for your weapon skill, like every time you attack something, you get slightly better with that weapon. The very first special move that you get with it is a straight-up grenade launcher. Like, I'm not even making that up, it's just literally a giant AoE explosion that, depending on how many points you've accumulated, which it was a system of every time that you attacked or took hits yourself, as long as they were physical, you got a few more TP points, which was just like the sliding scale that ended up going and scaling up damage on certain things under different circumstances. It's a whole long story, but point being, the very first one was one that scaled with damage. So, for example, if an archer with a crossbow ended up getting hit a whole bunch, they got knocked to low health, they could retreat and take out like 5 guys with one shot. It was really, really stupid. It's one of many things that got very severely and properly nerfed when the One Vision mod came out. And yes, I actually have done Dungeon Siege a while ago. Oh. Hello, phone. Thank you for ringing. How can I help you? Alright. But yeah, most of the dungeon crawlers that I like these days are going to be roguelikes. Like, for probably my favorite one at this point, if you've ever played it, is one called Sword of the Stars, The Pit, with the Pit fan mod. And it's kind of like if you take Star Trek and mixed all kinds of old-timey, like, roguelike dungeon type whatevers. Not so much a dungeon crawler so much as you're crawling through all kinds of different hallways and you got all these different rooms branching off in all directions. Similar thing, but all of these rooms have different functions. Like, you know, walk into a room that's all cold storage and stuff. You're going to find a whole bunch of refrigerators and stuff that you need mechanical checks or whatever to open up, and then you open up one of them and a friggin' blob monster comes out or something. It's like a horror roguelike set in Star Trek land. That's the best way I can describe it. But with the fan mod especially, it's just this amazingly beautiful chaos of utter nonsense. Like, you'll run into a case where you're just going and rummaging through some desks or something, and one of them accidentally has a button to trigger an alarm, and suddenly there's like 50 mechs outside the door. Like, well, this day just got a lot worse. And yeah, everything's got durability on it, so there's this constant worry over how your equipment's doing and stuff like that. It's pretty great. Man, for all their dramatic animation, these guys cannot hit worth a crap. Okay, if they attack one more time, they're wiped out. One thing that I do need to run into at some point is a store that sells heal-alls. That'd be pretty... Oh, there we go. You guys again. Alright. Alright, so Rick is going to take out everything but the ghosts. The ghosts shouldn't do very much, because it's daytime and these guys' alignment is probably next to nothing. There we go. Alright, you have a job. Eliminate. Exterminate with Jesus. Alright, did they reach them in time? Okay, that is the proper unit. Okay, go ahead and go for a week. It's funny because they specifically even tell you, like, just use the weak setting because it's the only way that the healers know to target these guys. Come on, there you go. Good job. Yes! It did the thing! Alright. Those goblins that have high-tech weapons in medieval settings, including chain guns, flamethrowers, yeah. There's a fair number of those, actually. I think Warcraft had that, too. It's just fun. A fun way of doing things. Guys are just getting fairy slapped all over the place. Dade. There we go. The religious preacher unit suddenly showing everyone the business. And somehow the witch unit got snuck up on. Yeah, they can't win this. I mean, they can get stunned, but that's about it. Alright, here's the deal. I need you over here. And I need you back reinforcing this place. And there we go. I mean, there's a few things that end up trading around skills for kind of requirements that make sense. Except I don't want to mention everything as being related to TO somehow. I feel I've been doing that for an hour. There's an TO. In order to get guns, you gotta use crossbows. Ooh, found an HP up. Nice. I found an HP. Oh wait, I actually lost money. Crap. Alright, we gotta capture more cities. Alright, use item. Use that on Rick. I think we're gonna go ahead and send Alicia and the witch back. They're not really doing anything good here. Alright, Sarah, you get out of here. I think we're good on you. See, okay. As far as stuff scaling up just for looks, that isn't always necessarily the case, though. Like, okay. I know. I'm gonna stop comparing everything to Tio, but here's the thing. Played that thing for like 8 straight years, and I always thought the same thing when it came to, what's it? Well, when it came to the different trees in that one. Because they technically all scaled up the same, but on the other hand, they had options for, like, background augments. Which essentially allowed you to go and potentially scale them up without specifically that skill. I don't know, I'm not sure how better to describe it, but it's essentially just a case where, like, say you wanted to be a guy to be good with rocks, right? And so you put together a situation where they had a bunch of earth augments in the background and gave them a bunch of earth-themed gear, and you gave them a bunch of earth items, and just, it kind of all came together that way. Alright. This is annoying. They might end up taking this city anyway. Okay. He's got the potential to make them retreat here. But it's just going to make them retreat for good, but I suppose it's better than just losing the city. That's annoying. Okay, so they're going to run away from this. At least we won't take a reputation loss, despite the fact that it's already basically 0. Had it mentioned the other day that, you know, literally the only reason that that this party is where it is only because the reputation can't potentially go beyond 0. Because there was, okay, there were 2 maps in particular that caused this bizarre situation. I suppose it's not that bizarre, because it's going to happen when you're basically using overpowered units to do your fighting. Yes, okay, return her so we can actually make some money. I'm assuming their squads are pretty worn down at this point. Alright, who's calling me? Right. You go do whatever it is you're doing. What was I looking at here? Oh yeah, so I have 2 squads that did the majority of the fighting. They haven't been used to take very many cities. It's mostly just the fact that most of the runs so far have consisted of lots of back and forth with different cities, just due to the lack of overall numbers. So, well, you can kind of see how that would be an issue. Every time that you end up losing a city, your reputation goes down. But it doesn't go down by the same amount as if you had just gone liberated. I think they said you get a quarter of a point up for every city that you end up taking back, and then you end up losing 2 for every single one that you end up losing. So you end up getting an 8 times penalty for losing a city. On top of that, I went and forgave one of the bosses, which caused a massive drop in it. On top of that, I spent quite a while actually recruiting the units that I'm using in my party right now, which, you know, for every day that you're out doing stuff, you end up losing more reputation. The Rebels are almost in the same line of work. You guys have made things so much easier for me. I just gotta thank you. Just a bunch of murderers yourselves. Yeah, there we go. Ask anybody around you, not that it matters. The Statue of Woe. Cool. So we're basically getting paid off by, I guess, the local mob or something. Because the reputation is just that bad. Ugh. So this basically means even if we end up beating the entire game, we're pretty much locked into the worst possible ending. Like, if your reputation is extraordinarily bad, you will just get the worst ending. If it's kind of okay, you can go for other things, and then depending on who lived or died throughout the entire war, who you saved, who you didn't, you know, what you did with whom, and all that sort of thing, if you found any extras along the way, all kinds of stuff ends up changing the ending. I think there's like 16 different endings or something like that. Alright. How they met... Okay, the ghost unit isn't back yet. I'm gonna have Leisha's team move over here, even though I don't necessarily want them to do that. Because there's only 1 unit that she needs to fight. Alright. So Rick will nuke this one, because it's just what he does. I wish he could attack earlier, but then he'd just be flat out OP, all things considered. unfortunately, they get the chance to retreat. Gonna waste a card on them. Oh well. At some point you'd think they'd learn, don't run at this guy. Yeah, there's actually a distinct possibility that maybe with Rick being so overpowered I can make Steve a good guy again. Which is funny because this mainly consists of having him not fight for a while, getting super weak. And yeah, just let him fight stronger things. And I don't know how people played this without a fast forward button back in the day. Okay. Look, that's nice. Yes, yes, we liberated a thing. That's all well and nifty, but we need to go ahead and heal up Rick's squad a little bit. Oh, there's the Sun card. Fantastic. First off, payday. We're able to find Brunhild. It's somewhere in the Castilian Sea. What? What? That's, that should be the Beerender. Okay. Castilian Sea, I remember that. Okay. Okay, remind me to look for that thing right after this, okay? Because I know for a fact that I want to get that thing. Apparently there's a, like, some kind of hidden map somewhere or something. And the fact that that thing is mentioned by name, and the fact that they said that there was something out there in the water, makes me think that you kinda need it to access whatever it is, because it's probably some hell dungeon, because it's always a freaking hell dungeon. And that's exactly what that item is for. Titan's sort of a Diablo dungeon. Was that, Titan Souls, or whatever it was called? I don't know. By the way, this is why Iron Golems are amazing. Like, this particular squad, like, if you have 2 healers and 2 golems, they're probably the most boring but effective unit you're ever gonna make. Like, guys, these attempts are adorable. Now deploy unit, but use an item. Use another heal. Yeah, I will say, I haven't actually been playing the PS1 version this far just yet, so I haven't been able to compare any differences in translations or anything yet. I'll catch up with that at some point. But yeah, so what little I know about the, you know, quote-unquote infinite dungeon for this one is I know that you're supposed to get some kind of weapon in order to get access to it, for one thing. And I know for a fact that it's just like some random spot on the map, apparently. And then if you have the item, you can go into it. If not, you can't. So... that. Yeah, let's have you go search over there. I should have checked if that item sold, if that town sold anything. The hell are you? I think that's an imp unit. Yeah. FFT had a lot of those. FFT did them better than TO, I will say. Okay, so, to compare the two, like, in FFT you got some rare encounters with special items and stuff like that. But that's the thing, you fought those units and then you either recruited them or you know, they ended up dropping those items or whatever else, and all well and good. They had... well, actually, you could just go and directly steal them. For some reason, they made a very unfortunate choice with the steal ability when it came to the TO remake. Because they had this thing where they had a steal skill in there, but it literally all it was good for was going and stealing craftable items. Like, you would go and rob somebody and you would get, like, a log or, you know, some ore or something. And it wasn't really particularly great. It ranked up absurdly slow, to the point that, let's see, latest run of that, of the base game version of that, I mean, it has been like 2.5, maybe 3 months that I've been doing that run. They're still on rank 1 out of 8, despite using it semi-regularly and for even going and getting some of these hidden items. You would go and you would have a 41% chance to rob a particular unit of a craftable item. And in some very specific instances, if you had the right level of it, you went and you got a unique item from something. But where those instances are very, very unlikely to be ever figured out. I'm pretty sure they only figured it out because of the guide, or if somebody just had way too much time on their hands. Because again, these are situations where even after 8 years, I never ran into them without actually seeing it in a guide. So, like, let's see, I think it was like rank 5 you needed for one unique ring, and that was the only piece of actual equipment that you could get using that. And it was only if you went and you went after one random enemy in the middle of like 12 fights into this one random dungeon kind of thing. There's no reason to think that you would go after that guy. So, again, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, its whole thing was just a ring that allowed anybody to use what is basically haste. Which, okay, that's really useful, but a little bit of an extreme thing to get it. So, like, for example, one of them. There's 2 classes that were very difficult to get what's known as a class mark for. So if you ended up wanting to switch classes, you needed a class mark, which is pretty much like a uniform in a box. Or just their license to be that class, right? Because apparently they're very official about becoming Fusiliers or something. So, okay. So, one of them was known as the Dark Priest. It's a class that only one unit in the entire game can use. It doesn't even mention that it's a class that you can get until you pick up this class mark thing. The only time you get it is, well, okay. There's like 3 instances in the entire game through hundreds of fights when you can get it. And there's one map in particular where you're likely to get it. And it's specifically that there has to be a cleric from a specific faction which shows up in a specific area, and then you have to go and essentially take it from them, or they have something like a 5% chance to drop it. But the odds of somebody actually going through that, you only encounter those maps once per run. Like, per run through the entire story. So unless you feel like going through and fighting all 25 fights leading up to this guy, you're really not going to see that a lot. It's... yeah, I don't know why they did that. It's such a strange place to hide it, you know? Oh well, let's see. That one hill where you fought a bunch of dragons and hydras that were even higher level than you. I'm expecting it, even with Orlando. Let's see. First level monk fight. Yeah, FFT had some pretty brutal ones. Oh yeah, the other bizarre one. Okay, so as far as weirdly specific circumstances, there's one where you have a... oh man, those guys are so freaking fast. It's annoying. I can never get Alicia over there in time because they just go and blitz right back in. Because that one friggin' Hawkman has a death wish. Ugh. Goodbye. Yeah, these guys are immune to everything with clerics. Friggin' annoying. Come on, Alicia. Today. And apparently they've got quite a few of these. This is their 3rd one now. Let's see, only place you see hydras outside of special story fights or deep dungeon. Yeah, you know what? Tio had the same thing. For one of the side quests, you had to go and recruit, I think 7 hydras. And they're, like, aside from manipulating stories, like you could go back in time and manipulate the story in particular ways, there was almost no places where you could go find a hydra. Actually finding and recruiting 7 of them was just such a massive pain in the nads. Okay, there's one with a bunch of ninjas in the forest and the leader. Oh yeah, I remember that one. That one was annoying because they all had friggin' double attack if I recall. Right, why exactly did Rick's unit get picked there? Because Alicia's unit should be the one that's getting attacked. There we go. Alicia's unit take care of this. Come on. Really? 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 What the crap? Okay, well, they're gone now, but man, that was stupid. Found a Dowser? A Dowser? Astronaut shows location of one buried treasure. Alright, cool. Nice. Yeah, there's the Boreas. There's another one of the, or the Boreas, as it's supposed to be, another one of the Wind God weapons. Alright, let's go ahead and put that on your secondary frontliner. Okay, Peridot was removed, Boreas equipped. Fine. Wait, no, it's your other frontliner that needed a weapon. This one, I think. Yeah, the PS1 version did make one small improvement here in that this screen actually showed you what weapon they had equipped. So they can only equip one weapon or one armor, they can't equip both. Seems strange, but that's just how it goes. Alright. Sure, let's have your unit go up here. If you're patient enough, you can legit knock down all the rare weapons of Chaos Blade and... yeah, true. True. You know, that kind of stuff is really fun to abuse, though. Always makes for a good time. Sun, yeah, do not use the sun. You will get vaporized. Yeah, the sun is a bizarre card in that it's basically, hey, I believe that I'm better than you, and then you get basically nuked to test whether that's actually the truth. Actually, I remember reading somewhere that getting a Masamune, or getting a few Masamunes in order to be able to use them like over and over with the draw out ability. It's like that one vampire fight was the only way that you could possibly do that or something like that. Be wrong on that. If these guys decide to attack again, they're basically done for. Okay, I have a sun card, but I don't want to use it. I wish that sun card was literally anything else. Okay, as long as it isn't ghosts. Can't do anything against ghosts. They're definitely afraid of some ghosts. This guy's just Dark Souls on feet. A decent chance of a squad wipe here. Chance is possibly gone. No, it isn't. How many of these guys are you going to send out? Because I'm sure at some point you have to run out of these, right? So yeah, I just used item dupe because actually there were two other methods. It didn't... Yeah. There's a lot of glitches to that game. It's almost like it came out way back when. Now, I kind of wish they would have explored the whole system the Parasite Eve used more, speaking of the PS1 era. That was probably one of the best weapon crafting systems ever. It's actually funny that for all of the credit that Fallout 4 got for its bizarre crafting system, like, oh look, you can add all these cool effects, isn't this nifty? And nifty is about as decent as I can describe it, but they had some pretty amazing mechanics when it came to Parasite Eve. Like, it was literally, you could just combine dang near anything into dang near anything. Like, I'm gonna take this, like, friggin' burst fire rocket launcher and combine it with a pistol to make an automatic explosion shotgun. It's ridiculous. Absolutely friggin' fantastic. And I keep looking at the tarot cards, thinking, man, I'm gonna use the sun card, it's gonna be a good time. It will never be a good time. Because if I use that sun card, any one of my units except for Canopus will just die. Oh, son. Another one of you? This should take out all but that last one. Alright. And once again, Alicia's way back here. Nifty. 3 grand to revive them. Also, I believe, because we got a Moon and Sun card, that's why the day still has not come yet. Alright, Rick's unit will force them to retreat yet again, then probably some other unit will end up running into Alicia. Whatever. Yeah. Parasite Eve is amazing. I would call it an underrated gem, but I'm pretty sure that's already on top of the list of a bunch of underrated other gems. This would definitely fall under the list of underrated gems as well. There's so much stuff to this thing. Like, okay, obviously I'm doing a bizarre challenge run here, but this is one of those things that's actually got a whole lot more strategy than this to it. Like, honestly, what somebody should be doing here is, you know, bringing out mixes of, like, clerics and dragoons and ninjas and samurai and crap, and maybe some knights to lead them. You should be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But since my options are limited to just fairy plus 1 person per squad, you know, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging of a thing. Also, they definitely picked the wrong squad to attack here. And I guess this is fine. They might end up retreating straight into themselves. Okay. Alicia's got a chance to catch them at least. Actually, no. No. Actually... I think I want Rick going after that one, because they're actually going to be able to beat these guys in one encounter. Alicia's unit might not be able to, and then might not be able to catch them. Steve gets some kind of promotion soon. Unfortunately, it might just be Steve by himself pretty soon here, since his backup keeps getting wiped out, and I'm not really planning on reviving them anytime soon. Alright. Nopus needs to continue looking around. There we go. Finish them off. He also should be able to intercept the other one on his way. Yep. Should be no problem. Boom. Hilarious. He's just chucking an ice boulder in his face like, yeah, I don't really care, I'm a mummy or whatever. Alright, last space is over here. If he doesn't find anything over here, I'm just gonna have him retreat. Go start taking cities. Oh my god, that was... Ooh, survive. Okay, he just survived with 3 health. Okay, so, here's the thing. I was just button mashing there and almost ended the run. That's why you don't use the Sun card. Interestingly, that should have... Okay, I guess his stats, or her, whatever stats, are high enough to the point where they just barely survived it. And then also survived an ice boulder to the face and had 3 health left. So, if you have a very low alignment unit, you never want to use a Sun card because it will essentially it'll essentially test their non-existent alignment stat against their health, I guess. So it's supposed to do 100% damage. I don't know why it didn't kill him. Because when I accidentally did that when I was testing recording and whatever else, like when I wasn't actually playing it, or rather when I had any other zero alignment unit, they just instantly got wiped. So whatever happened there was just plain luck. The Syndax, Magnu, Demon's Crest. I think these are on my list. I've got a list of stuff to try out later. And I still haven't gotten to a lot of them. He is still attempting to cross the ocean. It's taking him forever. This is why I should be having Canopas do all this stuff. Alright, you're gonna go here. There's that annoying bird unit again. Have you retreat to the city. You're gonna take the first encounter. Cripple them down, then Leisha takes out the ghosts. And then I think that should be it for this map. Ah, hell. There we go. Yeah, so healing almost never misses, so it's kind of bizarre how that other time it ended up missing 3 times in a row. Oh yeah. City of Crying Baby, I guess? Do we really want this city? Okay, he's gonna hold there for a moment. Rick, you're gonna move forward and finish off this last one. Or I guess Leisha will. You know what the funny part is? These guys will still continue attacking even though it's just the one crippled guy left. Like, we've got one guy with like a peg leg and a spoon for an arm. Yeah, no, that's fine. Keep sending that guy in. Okay, that should be the entire map. Here's the deal. Canopus and Ash are going to continue going around just looking at everything. Leisha and Rick are going to move forward and just defend whatever cities are at the front. I should probably have you move forward this way, so if they go and scour the mountains, maybe there's something that they forgot in there. We've got a moon card, that doesn't really affect anything. Mage Rashidi himself is in Kalbia. The reason why Div Figaro is here is not only to stop you, but also to protect Rashidi, I'm sure. I'm not even person, I don't know. Somebody told him to? Usually why people go all the way out there in a war. Right, come on, Rick. Ah, crap. She's gonna take that city, isn't she? Huh. Okay, no, she's going for the HQ, so they're gonna run into Steve. That'll put him to sleep. And this time, because they don't have any kind of help going on, there shouldn't be any issues. And finish them off. They're in very bad shape, though. Okay. Use items. I mean, heals on them, I guess. it, Steve. Why do you have so much health? I use 2 healing items. It's inconvenient. They're going for the city. Steve should also go for the city, because if they capture that thing, they get all their squad back. There we go. They met with him, and this should finish them off. Or at least almost do so. Alright. One way or another, they're going to get intercepted on their way out. You need to go search for stuff over here, despite your absurd slowness. Wait, excuse me? Mr. Birdman, conveniently go eat this dragon. Just club it over the head and that's the end. There we are. So I'm sure that's all their units on the field now. Go to Ash. That's crap. I think that was a profit, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, here's the card I was talking about, right? So, tell me. Just tell me. What do you see here? Because I see something very, very particular going on in this picture. And, let's just say it's not terribly 3G. Not terribly PG. I mean, I disagree. I think it's kind of something worth celebrating. Oh yeah, reputation went down 1 point. We don't even have 1 point to go down, so fuck it. No. I'd hate the heat. Okay. So basically what you're saying is Rick is going to completely rock everything as he has been. Neat. Got not Italy over here, looks like. Not even sure why I have Ash's unit doing anything here. They're not accomplishing very much. Yeah, something. We're gonna go ahead and call it something. Alright, so that's 2 more cities, plus an attack card. Between Zenobia and Milano. Union Harbor unused. Well, then they did a really bad job taking over this place, because that's usually the whole reason you take over a port city. So, what is this buy option? Elal. Let me get like 20 of them. Okay, take all my money. What do I see? I see somebody giving a BJ to the devil. That's what I see. Like, the positioning is very odd. It's supposed to be something like, oh yeah, look, he's turning their head and making them do something evil or something. Kinda looks like her head's in his crotch, is what I'm getting at here. On Mage City. I think we're approaching 3 days here, so that's when we'll start losing the reputation we already don't have. Full card. And up. Okay, has already found a Chaos Gate. That right there, I think is, yeah, the one without Burnhill don't require no less than the... Yes, that is the bonus dungeon. Mountains north of here, okay. Oh... Could it really be that obvious? Okay, well they said it was in the sea. I think I'm supposed to just, like, find it floating around. I'm tempted to almost look it up just to save time. Wait, no, it's supposed to be partially blind. And then again, what if it's something ridiculously specific? Got a buried treasure? Thunder. Aha, it's the thunder in the down under of the map. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking in kind of specific areas here, or in kind of broad areas here. It's basically just the best way to do it. They've got a pretty big hitbox as far as what's detectable and what isn't. You can really see the person's edge just sort of blends together. It's just, he really looks like he's doing a victorious pose while doing that whole thing. Like, one could just say it's just a factor of a dirty mind, but, you know. Would anybody looking at this happen to know what the deal is with Brunhild, aka Beerhinder, if it's on this map? Because I think it's supposed to be on the other map. In which case, I'm probably going to have to go back to the other map and go and do it that way. You go back to base. Probably have Leash's unit go back to base, and then we might be able to actually collect some money here. Thing is, we gained a lot of levels. Every time you gain a level up, your unit ends up taking more money to actually go and deploy. So there's that. Alright. You go there, Rick goes here. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure the other map was the Castolian Sea. Rated that. Star card. There's a break through a Chaos Gate. I'm doesn't have Brunhild, so oh, wait a freaking second. What? This is like a multi-step thing then? Using Brunhild to get the Chaos Gate to send somebody to the Sky Islands? Yeah, the other one was the one with the Sky Islands, so... Okay, I think I'm gonna have to stick Steve on a Griffin or something and just have him fly around that map, see if anything can be found. Yes. Okay, found a white necklace. Ooh. I need to give that to Leisha then. Probably give it to Steve's fairy units down the line. This white necklace should be the thing that just makes all their holy stuff better. Let's see, Figaros, you're the ones who brought down Debonair. Too late though, Rashida's already gone to the Sky Islands. He's part of the god, no more feral than god. You know, High Knights, don't you? Yeah, you haven't met Rick. Also, wow, yeah, all the three divas look... flamboyant as hell. Okay, that's gonna do that much. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they won this. Turns out blizzards maybe do a whole lot when you're not wearing pants. Yeah, liberated Kalbia. Interestingly enough, one of the things that the staffs are... Oh man, I just got that! The staff, the ice staff that got renamed for One Vision. He called it the Kalbia. I guess it's after this town. This was previously just like ice staff or something. Alright. Stand in a impractical manner. By the way, you know what? There's a thing I saw a little while ago. While looking at the thumbnails for this whole thing. So let me check real quick. This is the Castolian Sea. Yeah, there we go. You know, wait. Return to the map first of all. What I need is to have Steve on a Griffin. First off, you. Remove those. I'm going to remove the rest of his squad primarily just to save money here. Because Steve is free to deploy, but everybody else costs money, so I need a really lucky Griffin if I have one. Dude, let me add to this squad, okay? I've only got like 10 minutes left. 2, 2, 2. this tells me we're slowly going to lose money while doing this, by the way. Right. I know for a fact they're going to run into a bunch of neutral units. That's mostly going to be annoying. But they said the Sky Islands. Okay, attacked by a neutral. On. Oh yeah, so what I was trying to say is, yeah, one thing that I noticed earlier that I can't unsee now, they have 4 fingers. The fairies have friggin' weird alien claws. Like, they don't in other games, which is the weird part. It's only in March of the Black Queen where they have the weird claws. What happens if I have Eve go over here? Oh, cool. Wait. In that case, go back and take it. There's really no reason for you not to. We just came by to free you, even though we already control the place. The final location, the final battle, and the ogre battle. Meet with the Witch Mango. Cool, but where? We're losing 1 grand a day. We've got like 2 months to find this thing. They would fight the octopus, but they're kind of an invisible unit. They won't run into that same guy again, so they can't get a win. They're basically just going to take damage for nothing. Alright, so go to this island. If you say so. Gimme. Oh, in the sky, it's not just with the sisters. Okay. So basically these are the floating ruins, so I guess they just sort of floated next to Valeria or whatever. Now 3 high knights, I'll have to find the Chaos Gates. Wait, what? Alright. 5,000 years, human sided with the gods, monster with the demons. It's weird, they led 12 wizards and they found it. Okay, that's what the Heaven Generals, what are the 2 different definitions of general, the Heaven Generals are. Okay. And then the last one, just for laughs, let's go ahead and see what that's all about. The main character is a chick. Whatever. Okay, so... Alright, well, I'm confused as all hell. We'll do that. Now, what if we go back to Calbia? Okay, so they said there was a gate thing up here, but in order to open the gate you need that thing, but in order to get that thing you need the gates, so... what gives? I'm gonna have to double check that, because I think that's a translation error. I don't feel like getting screwed out of that because of a translation error. And they said the northern mountains, and it feels like it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, no, it's actually the southern mountains, just the north end of it. Fine, join us. He doesn't want it, then just leave. Alright, well, either way, I think we can go ahead and call it a part then. I highly doubt I'm gonna end up finding this thing. Unless this is it up here. Ever seen a bird and an octopus fight? Well, then you haven't seen entertainment. Alright, yeah, so I don't know how this works, so I'm just gonna go ahead and save it here, and then, yeah, come back to this at a later time. Let's actually double-check what the hell that translation's supposed to mean. So, see you next time then. Thank you for showing up, and bye and all that sort of stuff.